Chapter 69, madly picking up attributes, each showing their divine power too. The reason they were secretly watching rather than sitting on the stone chairs was because they were afraid to reveal themselves. The presence of the sect elder alongside the other seniors of the Supreme Hall at such a minor event as the sect's big competition was somewhat exaggerated. Even when vying for the true inheritance's disciple spots, one had never been given such treatment. That's why they couldn't show themselves directly, they could only observe secretly from here. They were not interested in the battles among the newly entered disciples. What intrigued them more were the talents who stood out on the ascending immortal platform. Because among these people, those destined to face the calamities were likely to emerge. Having observed for as long as half a year, they kept narrowing the scope. Each found several candidates from each main mountain peak and began training them separately. This Han Yi has won 9 rounds consecutively. It's quite proper, slightly impressive. But he's still far off from Hua Yuchen of the 10,000 Beasts Peak. After all, she has cultivated the beast-taming divine technique to the 4th level, capable of simultaneously controlling 4 spiritual beasts, one of which has the strength of the Foundation Establishment stage. One of the chief elders commented this way. A purple-robed elder laughed and said, "There's no need for Hua Yuchen to make a move, Liu Linky from Ziwei Peak. He probably couldn't handle either. The might of the purple phoenix startled swan sword key is still too strong." An elder with white hair and an 8 diagrams crown snorted, "You old fogies, every year you underestimate my Yangshen Peak," claiming that alchemists can't fight when tomorrow my senior disciple goes into battle against Han Yi. You'll know the power of the blazing flame. Your disciple has mastered the blazing flame? Using the blazing flame as the flame for alchemy can refine elixirs of higher quality. It seems you've accepted a good disciple this year. Sect head Yun Zuzi smiled lightly. The disciples recruited this year are more numerous and more stern than in previous years. The quality of the disciples is naturally higher than in previous years. Each is showing their divine power. Yanshen Peak, 9 Palaces Peak, Skyswallow Peak, 10,000 Beasts Peak, and Ziwei Peak all have strong disciples rising from them. Compared with them, Han Yi of the Pure Yang Peak is not that impressive. Seeing all the elders using Han Yi as a yardstick, the elder who had been silent all along from the Heavenly Mystery Peak, Zhang Taixu, opened his mouth. "You are all underestimating Han Yi." "Oh, Elder Zhang, why would you think that?" Zhang Taixu stared at Han Yi, who was conversing with Pei Likong below, and said in a serious tone, "I noticed that the thriving aura on Han Yi's face is a point stronger than it was half a year ago, which is very strange." A middle-aged elder spoke up. "People each have their own destiny. It's normal that one's luck increases. But not matter how much Han Yi's luck increases, could it ever reach the level of Chu Ji in use?" Zhang Taixu shook his head. "That indeed hasn't happened. Chu Shanyu has the most thriving aura I've ever seen." Yes, Chu Shanyu was promoted to an inner sect disciple in just half a year. Such a thing has rarely happened in the past few decades. Yun Zuzi, aware that Zhang Taixu was paying close attention to Han Yi, casually asked, "Elder Zhang, do you think Han Yi is the person destined for tribulation?" Zhang Taixu denied it. "Not entirely, I just think he's a bit special. Although his talent doesn't show, like an average disciple, he is always unexpectedly successful, from climbing Mt. Wendao to the big competition in the sect. It's always like this. The person destined for tribulation does not necessarily have the highest talent, but they are certainly the most special. Otherwise, they could not endure the great calamity. Disciples like him, Chu Shanyu includes." The crowd pondered upon hearing these words. Some elders noticed that Elder Yu had not spoken, and curiously asked, "You Langlang, don't you usually despise the disciples of the Pure Yang Peak? Elder Guy is away from the sect this time. Aren't there some remarks you'd like to volley?" A lady with a scepter among the crowd caught everyone's attention. Her red lips quietly parted. "I think this Han Yi is not that annoying, so I didn't speak." Hearing this, all the elders looked at each other. They felt as if the sun had risen from the west. Meanwhile, Han Yi arrived at the edge of a cliff where Pei Likong was back facing him, looking at the distant mountains. "Elder brother, did you want to see me?" Han Yi respectfully greeted him. Pei Likong held his hands behind his back, coldly saying, I originally thought that the pure Yang Peak had no impressive disciples this year, but your performance is somewhat bright. Han Yi heard the others' praise and just wanted to be humble for a moment, but was quickly interrupted. But compared to those truly top outer sect disciples, you're still far off. So, there are some things that I need to inform you ahead. Pei Likong immediately threw a bucket of cold water on him. Please tell me. Han Yi had heard from his junior sister that this Pei Likong was difficult to get along with, and as it turns out, indeed he was. From beginning to end held a superior attitude, not giving him any face at all. Pei Likong indifferently said, tomorrow you will not only face disciples of a higher realm but also encounter those top outer sect disciples from the main mountain peaks. Why? Hania was very confused. Based on his current number of victories, hadn't he reached the final circle yet? It's arranged by the elders, no need to ask more. Pei Likong only gave this explanation. Only then did Han Yi realize that the big competition didn't seem quite that simple. Were the elders manipulating things behind the scenes? Anyway, I also came from pure Yang Peak, and I don't want to see our pure Yang Peak lose. So, remember what I am about to say. The first outer sect disciple of the Yangshan Peak practices the ancient pill scripture, has mastered the blazing flame. A touch of it and you'll be out. He specializes in long-range attacks, so wait for the right opportunity to get close and snatch his pill furnace.